Sounds. So yeah, I mean, I wanted to say, first of all, I agree with everything that Roddy said. My name's Danny. I'm a rep from Sussex UCU. I wanted to thank you ever so much for inviting me and to apologise. I don't know much of the detail of the situation here at Kent, but from what Kester and Mike Moran have told me, there seem like there's a huge amount of parallels with Sussex, that essentially you've got an incompetent EG making a mess of the finances and seeking to use the COVID situation to offload the impact of this onto staff. I would imagine that the narrative that they're presenting is going to be similar. Essentially, that this is a crisis outside their control and that there's no alternative to their plans apart from bankruptcy. So although we haven't balloted yet, our Crisis Justice Sussex campaign has been predicated on demonstrating that this is bullshit. And in fact, cutting staff numbers and terms and conditions is a choice. And I'm sure you know, a lot of this is, I'm sure, really obvious to you guys as well. But in my opinion, this is the absolutely crucial point to get across to colleagues. Roddy was alluding to this as well, that once we show that there is an alternative, that a short-term deficit, if needed, can be run to accommodate a temporary drop in income, and that pay cuts targeted at the highest earners should come before any job losses, people will see it's worth striking and that we can win. So that's why what you're doing here is 100% the right approach, that the more pressure that you can pile on that EG before they start announcing redundancies, the more chance there is of averting the scenario completely. So obviously, the plan's only going to work if you get the turnout. Again, like I would echo what Roddy said, you've done fantastic work in already managing to get above the threshold, or the equivalent of what the threshold will be in your consultative ballot. And I've got a few suggestions here that may as well be a statement of the bleeding obvious, but Kester asked me to kind of go into this, so I thought I would make them, and hopefully at least they'd be reinforcing what you know already. So at Sussex, last time round for the pension strikes, we got 69% turnout in the ballot there. And I've also done some work in my previous incarnation at the University of London, organising cleaners' strikes. So we had a lot of strike ballots there, and a lot of instances where with running postal ballots, people are moving address quite frequently. There's all manner of kind of confusing factors, which make it really, really difficult to get the turnout out. So I guess the points that I would go through for this would be, first of all, get organised. You can't be too organised. Get a list of the members. Start now to make sure contact details are up to date. You'd be amazed how many ballots are going to go astray. Secondly, I would say that you can never have too many reminders. So start sending emails and texts now to get people geared up. There's always a slight thought that, all right, we don't want to annoy people too much. It's better to risk annoying people a little bit than to have things slip through the gaps. People get lots of emails, they delete them. You'd be amazed again at what people don't read. Thirdly, I'd say divide up the reminders. It's better for the ballot and for the strike to come that every department has at least one rep and that they take ownership of the members in that department. Fourthly, speak to and remind your colleagues. So I know that this is not just a kind of reps meeting, but it's an all members meeting. It looks like there's loads of people here as well, which is great. So if you're not a rep, but you want to help, then you can not just vote, but get others to vote as well. And I guess this leads on to my fifth point, which would be make sure that every single member is chased individually. So each single person needs to have like someone to call them or text them, and ideally that will be the next person to them in their department, rather than it all falling on one central person. I know from speaking to one of Roddy's colleagues I know quite well that he nearly drove himself mad doing this at Imperial for the pension strike. So as much as you can spread the burden, the better. Sixth, again, I would say harass people until you have confirmation that the ballot has been sent. Like too many of those end up at the bottom of bags otherwise. We had one where we had a porter who had collected all of the ballots for all of his colleagues in his halls of residence, and then they were at the bottom of his bag, which was a potentially nightmarish situation. And seventh, I would say aim for 100% turnout. There's always going to be people who are sick or on holidays or lost ballots or missing addresses, so you'll need every single available vote. So I'd say it's really good idea to aim high. And I guess, like, as a quick final point, see the ballot as part of the campaign. So it's a way of energising members and of pressurising management. And I think it can play a big part in setting up a successful strike. From what you were saying before we started, it sounds like you know all of that anyway, so maybe it's just kind of reinforcing those points. But like I would just say as well, if there's anything at all that we at Sussex can do to help, then just let me know. We've got a pretty active branch there. There's lots of people who are very keen and paying attention to what's going on in other universities. and they all wanted me to let you know that they're right behind you. You're definitely doing the right thing. You're an inspiration to us all here, and you can definitely win this. So thanks very much. Solidarity.